The big story that we are tracking at the moment. Justice Yashwant Varma of Allahabad High Court has sent his resignation to President Droupadi Murmu. Last year in March, a fire at his official Delhi residence revealed piles of burnt 500 rupee notes in a storeroom. He was then Delhi High Court judge. An inquiry committee confirmed the findings, leading to impeachment proceedings and ban on judicial work. Varma denies ownership, claiming a conspiracy. This is a big story that we are tracking at the moment. Justice Yashwant Varma has in fact resigned. Justice Varma sends resignation to President Murmu. Last year in March, a fire at the official Delhi residence revealed piles of burnt 500 rupee notes in the storeroom. He was then Delhi High Court judge. An inquiry committee confirmed the findings, leading to impeachment proceedings and a ban on judicial work. Varma denies ownership, claiming conspiracy against him. The big story that we are tracking at the moment, a big resignation coming in from the judiciary. Justice Yashwant Varma of Allahabad High Court has given his resignation from his post to President Droupadi Murmu. My colleague Brijesh Pandey, input editor, in fact, joins us right away. Brijesh, a big story coming in from the judiciary. What does it mean for the judiciary in general, and at the same time, probably one of the first cases where the impeachment proceedings were actually proceedings, was in fact proceeding, and then you have the judge also saying that he would challenge it, but now it looks like he's back down with his resignation.
Well, Varghese, one thing is clear, that this is an extremely important development. What we have gathered from our sources is that Justice Yashwant Varma has resigned. He has sent his resignation to the President Droupadi Murmu, and it was a case which had brought judiciary into disrepute, and there were impeachment proceedings which were initiated against Justice Varma. More than 140 member of parliaments had signed that petition, the impeachment petition, and what we have been given to understand is that this particular impeachment, which was signed, and the three-member committee was formed was constituted to probe into the allegations. Remember, this case came into highlight when wads of notes, half-burned cash was found at the residence of Justice Varma, and after that a lot of hue and cry was raised about the judicial propriety and the conduct, and how exactly the cash reached there. Justice Varma denied that the cash was found, the cash was his, and said that it was found at the outhouse, to which he had no access. He and his family would not go to that outhouse. But this created this incident created a lot of furor as far as the judiciary propriety is concerned. Remember that the judiciary was already under the scanner due to a couple of other cases, but this particular case brought the entire judiciary under spotlight. The then Chief Justice of India was also completely was not very happy with the way the entire sequence of events was done and handled. Justice Yashwant Varma was transferred to the Allahabad High Court, and there was also a protest there by the lawyers saying that what was the reason for the Chief Justice or the Collegium to transfer a tainted judge or a judge who is under an investigation to the Allahabad High Court. And the case was
Brijesh, right
is
now
still on.
we are in
but
fact
what has
also
been given to understand by our sources is that Justice Yashwant Varma has sent his resignation to the President of India, Droupadi Murmu.
All right, we are also, Brijesh, now joined in by Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer from the Supreme Court. Swapnil Kothari, what are your first reactions to the resignation of Yashwant Varma? This was in fact a very important case because it also resulted in a probable chance of a conflict between the legislature, executive and the judiciary.
Well, I think it's a perfect decision, and although it has come a little belatedly, Justice Varma should have resigned long ago, rather than challenging and going through the hoops and trying to make some modicum of decency out of his particular case, which was absolutely dead lost from the beginning. Because 50 crores in your own backyard, you cannot deny that. So in some form or the other, that is something which, even a third-year law school student will not believe that the judge was innocent in this case. And I'm sure the committee that went into the findings sort of corresponded some of the decisions that he had made, which he should not have made or would not have made had his integrity not been compromised. So this comes at a belated stage, but I'm glad that it has, and I think the judiciary can move on with life, and so can we.
Well, we have also seen the manner in which, it had affected the judiciary. There were a lot of lawyers' associations that had also, in fact, raised concerns regarding this. Questions being asked in the parliament about the impeachment process, the scrutiny on judges. These were also some of those debates that were triggered because of this. But in the longer run, do you see a procedure already in place, or do you think a procedure better than that, what is on the ground to address such issues, should be in place?
Well, I think one can always look to improvise things, but currently the procedure is absolutely proper. I don't see it being inadequate, except that, I would expedite it a little bit more, kind of give it 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, and say that, okay, within this much time, the committee should come out with the findings. So it's just the whole idea of things going fast. That is perceptibly, it comes out better. As opposed to that, if the parliament can find a better procedure and, going on the recommendations of the law commission or several judges or several eminent lawyers, then they can always come out with something better and say that this is something which we have in mind and can we go ahead with it, and then put it up for debates in the entire country as such, and then people can debate on it, whether through news channels or even otherwise, and then maybe, implement it and put it into a law. But so far, so good. And, I'm very happy about this decision that Mr. Justice Varma has made, because in essence, it preserves the integrity of the judiciary. And, obviously it gives a message to the people that no one person is above the judiciary. And the judiciary is an institution by itself, and no one person is above the law. Just as, no lawyer is above the court, or no, editor of a news channel is above the channel, or, no editor of a newspaper is above the newspaper, and no school principal is above the school. So it's as simple as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sapnal Kotari, for in fact giving your opinion on this. Well, it looks like, Brijesh, some of the lawyers said at least the resignation has in fact resulted in the integrity of the judiciary kept intact.
Well, yes, we have also have, the letter of Justice Varma, Justice Yashwant Varma. We can show it on our screen. This particular letter, this is the letter which has been written by Justice Varma. If I may ask my cameraman to zoom in and show. Okay, so this is the letter which is there, and in the letter, Justice Varma says, a letter addressed to Droupadi Murmu. Justice Varma says that is a resignation from the office of judge, and this is the letter which Justice Varma has written. News 9 has an exclusive copy of the resignation letter of Justice Yashwant Varma, which he has written to the President of India. And in the letter, the contours of the letter is that while I do not propose to burden your august office with the reasons which have constrained me to submit this missive, it is with deep anguish that I hereby tender my resignation from the office of Judge of the Honorable High Court of the Judicature at Allahabad with immediate effect. So finally, Justice Varma has resigned. He has put in his papers, and as the Supreme Court lawyer was just on our show 1 minute back, he said that how it should have been done a long back. It unnecessarily dragged the august name of judiciary in the entire link. It should have been done long back. There were 3-member committee which was constituted by the Supreme Court. There were 3-member committee which was constituted by the Parliament. There was an impeachment motion proposed against Justice Varma, and I think it brought judiciary under some sort of very unsavory light, given the way the entire thing was handled. So finally, I think justice, if you may say, that justice has been done in that particular case. Justice Yashwant Varma has resigned and has put in his papers.
Also, we have with us Anil Tiwari, senior advocate and former Allahabad High Bar chief. Anil Tiwari, how do you in fact respond to the resignation by Judge Yashwant Varma? Was it delayed, or could it have been done much earlier?
At present, I welcome this step because now I feel that it is a victory for people at large, of Indian people at large. Because the basic problem was not Justice Varma. The basic problem was loss of faith in Indian judicial system. So this resignation is a welcome step. And secondly, I say that it's a very delayed resignation. It should have been done earlier, much earlier. And this is not the end of the chapter. I request our judicial system to initiate criminal proceedings against Mr. Varma so that public trust may come to its logical conclusion, and it should be saved.
Well, also the big question or the larger question that's emerged from this issue about money being found at the residence of Justice Varma was this, that is there enough procedures within the judiciary to ensure that people of integrity remain as they give in those judgments, or whether there should be more to such procedures so that there could be corrective measures that can be taken at time rather than leaving it to the decision of the person who has been in the storm of it?
What I think is not important, but what we found in the last 50 years is very material, very important. I think that my opinion, my view may be a strong view. Somebody may not like my view. But last 50 years, what we have found in Indian judicial system, that every time when judge retires, they speak about the corruption in Indian judicial system. But when they are in the office, they are not speaking too much on this. Firstly. Secondly, at this stage, I invite your attention on a very young boy, Rishi Kumar of Tamil Nadu, analyst, who has written a detailed article. That article contains each and everything what happened in last 50 years. System is not very effective. I must say that even appointment system is not very effective. The appointment system, I have been raising my voice in Allahabad High Court since long. I have been raising because the appointment system, everything starts from the appointment itself. Yeah. When appointment procedure is not fair, appointment system is not fair, impartial, then how can we think that we can get impartial judges? There may be, there are so many impartial judges. I'm not saying that everyone is not impartial or fair. Everybody, most of the people, judges are very honest, very integrated, dedicated to the work. But still, one person, one Mr. Yashwant Varma, and not only Yashwant Varma, I may invite your attention also on this fact. MC Chagla was fighting this corruption since 1970, around 1970-75.
Yeah,
so corruption is a very, very common phenomena. It is talk of people, talk of town today.
Mr. Tiwari,
system is not proper.
Mr. Tiwari, Brijesh Pandey this side. I wanted to know one thing. Do you think that the case will now cease to exist once he has resigned?
No, not
or do you feel that this should be taken to its logical conclusion?
Yes. Now I say, at least my term is over as president. अगर मैं प्रेसिडेंट आज की डेट में होता, then I immediately मैं resolution pass करके FIR lodge कराता. Now I am not president in this Allahabad High Court bar. My term is over, so I am not. I'm not sure who will.
No. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying that do you believe? Do you think that a case should reach its logical conclusion? If cash was found there, shouldn't he be held accountable for the greater good of judiciary and the impartiality of judiciary?
He should be prosecuted under criminal procedure. He should be prosecuted. He has made a great dent in the Indian judicial system and public faith. I am practicing since last more than 35 years. My faith was broken. My faith has shattered.
Okay.
My faith has shattered.
Mr. Tiwari,
I am a senior advocate in Allahabad High Court. I am practicing since long.
Yes.
But now I am afraid of such kind of things. मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था कि इस तरह की भी चीजें हो सकती हैं इंडियन जुडिशियल सिस्टम में. So Mr. Yashwant Varma should be prosecuted immediately by lodging FIR.
By lodging an FIR.
Lodge FIR against him.
Absolutely. Mr. Tiwari, one more question I would want to know is that, there was a lot of criticism from the Allahabad High Court bar when Justice Varma was transferred from Delhi to Allahabad High Court.
Pardon?
I'm saying that there was a lot of criticism when Justice Varma was transferred from Delhi High Court to Allahabad High Court.
My statement was...
Exactly, I know. But don't you think that until and unless an impartial probe has reached its logical conclusion, these kind of judges should be divested of their judicial duties?
Yes. I was I made a statement that the Allahabad High Court is not a dustbin. And apart from this fact that he was found with cash, his cash was inside his house. He was transferred. He was given premium on that. He was transferred to his parent High Court.
Parent High Court, yeah.
Parent High Court. I raised my movement, and it is very satisfactory moment at this time that the entire country stood with me. Entire country, पूरे हिंदुस्तान की High Court Bar Associations, they were present in Allahabad High Court in national conference.
Yeah.
Everybody raised his voice.
No, absolutely. It must be a big time for you, Mr. Tiwari. There's one more question I would want to know. But don't you think the way the entire case was handled, though I mean the court was quick to appoint a 3-member judicial committee and all, but don't you think that the way entire procedure was handled still leaves certain questions lingering about the efficacy of the system at the place?
Right, absolutely correct statement. Absolutely, he was protected. He was giving उनको रास्ता दिया जा रहा है निकलने का. Why today he has resigned? Why today he has resigned? Because he must have learned that something big is going to happen. And his resignation cannot be made a ground for his escape.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said, Mr. Tiwari. Thank you so much for talking to News 9, by explaining your point of view about, what should have been done. And the fact of the matter is that, once the resignation has come forward, Mr. Tiwari was one of the original complainant and, protested very loudly when Justice Varma was transferred from Delhi High Court to Allahabad High Court, saying that why is a corrupt judge being transferred to Allahabad High Court, and that to his parent cadre. He's a very happy man right now, ever since the news of Mr. Varma resignation has come forward. But it raises several questions, and the most important one will be that will the case against him continue, and will he face the music as far as the charges which are leveled against him? Varghese?
Interestingly enough, Brijesh, the question that was raised by you also is about whether the charges will reach its logical end, and just a resignation is not enough. But it could in fact be the procedure that was going to be laid out when such situations emerge. One is, of course, the integrity of the judiciary is something that is going to be protected, and at the same time to ensure, like how the others were in fact saying, Mr. Tiwari was saying, to ensure that the system is in place to ensure there is some kind of scrutiny as well if things come into play. But one part that was raised was about appointment, and that has been something that the executive branch of the government as well as the legislature has been raising as to how the appointment procedure needs to be reformed.
Well, there are several issues plaguing as far as if you're looking at the judicial overhaul of the country. The fact of the matter is that, what was surprising, that the concerned judge was transferred but not divested of his duty. Now, the fact of the matter is that, it raises a very obvious question. As the saying goes, as the, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. So any judge who is imparting judgment, who's adjudicating on any given case, has to be seen as honest and somebody who's delivering the judgment with the best intention forward. Now, the fact of the matter was that, after cash was accidentally found from Justice Varma's house, it took a while before the case was registered, only when, a national daily broke this particular story. After that, a 3-member committee was formed, and then they took their own sweet time. He was transferred to Allahabad High Court. As Mr. Tiwari was saying, that he was also of the view that, any judges who is facing this in-your-face kind of corruption allegation must be divested of his judicial duty till this, committee has come to a logical conclusion, either, acquitting him or convicting him, and only then the final decision of transferring him should have taken place. And this case, raised a lot of stink as far as, and it came as a bad press for the judiciary of the country. There are hundreds of judges who are doing exemplary work, working more than their capacity, working more than their working hours. But these kind of the cases are the one which, brings judiciary to disrepute. And it's, I would say that many would have heaved a sigh of relief ever since the news has come that Justice Varma has tendered his resignation to President Droupadi Murmu.
Right. We are also joined on the phone line by Justice Dr. Satish Chandra, former judge, Allahabad High Court. Justice, your first reactions to Yashwant Varma's resignation?
Look, he was facing the isolation. 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 not only in the High Court compound, but also in the society. So you know very well that Supreme Court upheld in the Batraj case that isolation, confinement is the biggest punishment. So he was feeling humiliation. So it is good that he has resigned. Now he is a free bird. Thank you.
But Justice, how do you in fact see the larger picture that is there when it comes to judges, and how do you see the procedure in place?
Not procedure. Actually, the Shaward was hanging for this impeachment. Now that is over after the resignation. And you will surprise that impeachment procedure was still.
Also, does it mean that with the impeachment, the procedure of impeachment gone, it was, a stand down between the judiciary and the legislature as well as the executive? Do you think that kind of a conflict has been avoided by this? Justice Dr. Satish Chandra?
Yeah.
I was asking this question that do you think a major confrontation has been avoided with this resignation between the judiciary and other?
By resignation, so many problems have been solved. The confrontation with the judiciary, legislature is over. The parliament, valuable time is saved, which was supposed to be involved in the impeachment motion. So it is good that he resigned.
Well, also my colleague Brijesh Pandey also wants to ask you some questions. He's here.
Justice Chandra, just one question I would like to ask you. Do you think, what happens to the case which is registered against Justice Varma? Do you think that even after his resignation, the case will go on and reach its logical conclusion, sir?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Now it is required the permission from the CGI to establish the FIR against.
So now, according to you, it will require the permission of the Chief Justice to register the FIR against Justice Varma, sir. Is this what you're saying?
At that time, he was the sitting.
Justice Chandra, sir? Yeah. Okay, so they have to seek permission of the Chief Justice of India to register an FIR against him.
That is there. That is there.
But don't you think, Justice Chandra, that cases like this should have been handled more effectively in the sense that that he was not divested of his judicial duty, and it unnecessarily brought a disrepute to the entire judiciary, where judges are working there.
Judicial Protection Act is there. Judicial Protection Act is there. So we will have to follow that act.
Okay, it seems that there's some sort of problem with the mobile link of Justice Chandra. But Varghese, I think anybody who's been, since Justice Chandra was former judge at Allahabad High Court only, you can see the sense of relief in his voice, and it's a very interesting take which he put forward that that permission of the Chief Justice of India would be taken to lodge an FIR. But I think this is one case in which the judiciary should be seen doing or walking the talk. And they should be taking this case to its logical conclusion for two reasons, Varghese. First one is that this should send a strong message to anybody who is indulging in corruption in judiciary. And the second, and I think the more important one, which is that even when it comes to corruption within judiciary, the judiciary doesn't take it lightly and make sure that anybody who is found indulging in corrupt practices or act is taken to the task irrespective of who he or she is.